Dialects and accents. Language is always evolving and changing, most of the time without even noticing. A language can contain different dialects. As a Yiddish linguist said, a language is a dialect with an army and a navy. English is spoken in places around the whole world. The English is not the same. There are different standard dialects, for example, standard American English, standard Australian English, and so on. There are even dialects such as Welsh or Gaelic, but they are still languages. The dialect is a variant of a language, usually regional. There are a lot of different dialects in Britain, for example, Cockney, Geordie, Scots, and so on. Every dialect is full of typical words and expressions which can be understood by many non-dialect native English speakers because of similarities in the linguistic roots of Saxon, Latin, Norse, Celtic, and Norman languages. We see that the English language and dialect may change from one village to another. The dialects often even change in the space of just a few miles. For example, the Yorkshire accent changes from Hull, where they use a long es and talk very slow, and Bradford, where they don't say the ts, and then down to Barnsley, where they don't open their mouth too far. So that's where isogloss happens, where languages change over a small space. The dialects are all shaped by traces of all the people in the past and the work they have done. We can find those traces in the layers of speech. The language changes over time with specific industrial terms. The words often are gone, they are not being used anymore, but they live on in the dialects. A generation ago, the standard was not to talk dialects if you wanted to get on in life. Speaking dialects instead of received English, the Queen's English, was regarded as a social disadvantage. It was best to speak a neutral English, that no one could guess your background or class. Arthur Burrell wrote in 1891, "It is the business of educated people to speak so that no one may be able to tell in what country their childhood was passed." When William Caxton set up England's first printing press in 1473, he chose largely the South East Midland dialect as standard English because it was the most populous region of England and home to the royal family. In 1922, the place of received pronunciation became the accent of educated middle-class England with the launch of the British Broadcasting Corporation, or the BBC. Received pronunciation was so associated with the radio announcers that it became known as BBC English. Today we call this ultra-posh. The English is spoken by the royal family and the upper classes. Linguist Professor Alan Ross introduced the expression you and non-you in 1954 to explain the difference between the English upper classes, the you, and the middle classes, the non-you. He stated that the upper classes weren't always better educated or richer than the middle classes, but they were different in terms of language. They often used different words to express something, which had the same meaning. For example, to have a bath, spoken by the you, or to talk and to take a bath, spoken by the non-you, or lunch, spoken by the you, or dinner, spoken by non-you. Professor Ross studied that if a non-you speaker could become a you speaker. The study showed that it was not possible, but in language, the class system is developing and blurring. The most you words have been adopted by everyone else. People are still proud of their accents, but they will still choose the RP when they want to speak to someone in authority. They feel most comfortable speaking RP while talking to a superior, but the position of the RP is changing. It used to be the key to success, but not anymore. Even announcers are now using their own accents.